Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of To The Point. Today's topic of discussion is COP16 Key Takeaways. First of all, let's see why is it in the news. The final plenary of the 16th Conference of Parties, that is COP16, to the Convention on Biological Diversity recently concluded in Cali, Colombia. Now let's discuss what is the convention about. The convention follows meetings in 2022 at Montreal, Canada. At that meeting, countries agreed to protect 30% of land and water by 2030, known as the 30 by 30 agreement, at a time when less than 17% of land and 10% of marine areas were protected. In 2022, the Kunming Montreal Global Biodiversity Framework set 23 action-oriented global targets for urgent action in the decade to 2030. Other than the 30 by 30 goals, targets include reducing the introduction of invasive alien species by 50% and minimizing their impact by 2030. It also aimed to reduce pollution risk and the negative impact of pollution from all sources to tolerable levels by 2030. It also set up a mechanism for benefit sharing from the use of digital sequence information on genetic sources and traditional knowledge and integrating biodiversity into policies, regulations, planning, and development processes. A key aim of the COP16 was to agree on mechanisms to implement these targets as well as discuss ways to organize funding. Now moving on to key decisions taken at COP16. The negotiators have decided to set up a subsidiary body that will include indigenous groups and peoples in discussions around conservation and biodiversity. In the run-up to COP16, one of the most contentious issues was on the Digital Sequence Information Agreement. This deals with benefit sharing or how, for example, medicines and drugs made from analyzing the DNA of living organisms stored in databases and which are used in commercial products can be shared with the local communities where such organisms are housed. The major texts that have so far been formally adopted by the convention include agreements on biodiversity and climate change, mainstreaming biodiversity, putting a check on invasive species, and the technical needs to support the implementation of the KMBGF. Now let's understand that what are India's contribution to COP16. India has been a consistent participant in the biodiversity COPs. The Ministry of State for Environment released India's updated National Biodiversity Strategy and Action Plan at the COP16. He highlighted that India had adopted the whole of government and whole of society approach in updating its NBSAP. The updated NBSAP, that is National Biodiversity Strategy and Action Plan, aligns with the Kunming Montreal Global Biodiversity Framework, setting 23 national biodiversity targets through an extensive consultative process involving diverse stakeholders. NBSAP stated that it expects to spend around Rs 81,664 crore from 2025 to 30 on biodiversity and conservation. Now is the time for practice question. Consider the following statements about COP16. 1. The COP16 or 16th Conference of the Parties to the Convention on Biological Diversity recently concluded in Montreal, Canada. 2. India's updated National Biodiversity Strategy and Action Plan released at the COP16. Which of the statements given above is or are correct? 1 only, 2 only, both 1 and 2, or neither 1 nor 2? Send the answer of this question in the comment section. Thanks for watching. For more informative content, like, share and subscribe, and do not forget to press the bell icon to get the notifications.